You got to get pressure when you're not blitzing. It can't just be like, hey, we want to get pressure on this down. Let's bring 9. You got to occasionally be able to get home with 4.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
5 things to watch here on KC Sports Network, getting you ready for Chiefs versus Panthers on Sunday. This is brought to you, as always, by Batchelder Family Farms. You can now order Batchelder's fresh farm-raised products online in just a few clicks. You can also find their bison at the Overland Park Farmers Market and the River Market on Saturdays, where they sell their pasture-raised beef and bison jerky and eggs. Finally, you can visit their farm store for the freshest cuts and other locally sourced products Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 20810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton. I am joined, as always, with the hungriest member of KC Sports Network, Matthew Lane. After reading that read, what are you craving?
Listen, I mean, everything. Can I go with everything on this particular one? Honestly, the eggs are speaking to me right now. I have chickens. It's starting to get cold here. They're laying less and less right now. So they're struggling to keep up with the demands of the household. So, if I can get some more fresh eggs right now, that would be pretty on point. So I know that's not as exciting as some of my answers usually, but the eggs are speaking to me at this moment, Kit.
Well, you're going to be hearing a lot of people speaking to you on this show. This is a show where you get a variety of perspectives from KC Sports Network. You're going to hear from our guy, Matt Hamilton, who's with us on Wednesdays for Matter Days on the KCSN. You're going to hear from the guys at that football show. You're going to hear Benny's picks. You're going to hear from Only Weird Games. But we always kick things off on this show. And today we're going to talk about the passing game for the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to get it right, trying to get some things going in this passing game. Matthew, what would you like to see against the Carolina Panthers in the passing game for the Chiefs?
Life, excitement, so something that just something that makes you get up out of your chair a little bit. And the flashes are still there. I wrote about it on the Substack early, kcsn.substack.com this week. There's still some flashes for Patrick Mahomes that says, hey, he's still that guy when he needs to be. It just doesn't come that often. And is that, it's not obviously by design, but is part of it because they're trying to hold back, they're trying to control the tempo, they're trying to rely on their defense to win games. And are they purposely not trying to be a little bit more aggressive? So in this game against the Panthers, coming off of a loss where you saw the flaws of that style of play really start to show a little bit more against a quality team, maybe it's time to flip that script, get that offense being a little bit more aggressive, specifically through the air. So yeah, I would like to see them be a little bit more aggressive in their drop back game. And that doesn't just mean throwing vertical shots. I don't mean just throwing the ball deep downfield, but hey, maybe we take a couple throws into tighter windows. Maybe we attack the middle of the field a little bit more. I don't want to say careless with the ball, but more aggressive, more confident, and go out there and make plays for defenses to actually stop rather than waiting for guys to get open. So I think this would be a good week to kind of start to turn the page back to that style of offense that we have seen from the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in the past.
No, yeah, I think trying to get the intermediate game involved a little bit more. That's, one of those places where you really like to see Patrick Mahomes' chemistry with Travis Kelce materialize at times with some of those corner routes, some of those option routes, and some of those kind of plays. And I'd like to see the intermediate game get involved. You're right. Working the middle of the field, I think, would be good. Now, obviously, I'd really like to see them, get the vertical passing game going too, for sure. That's definitely something this team needs. They need to try to push the ball down the field. But the truth is, there's really only one guy that can really do it for this team right now. And everyone knows it. The NFL knows it. Chiefs know it. They try to get him involved early. They try to get some manufactured touches, use that speed, but there's shot plays, especially early on. They want to try to get, some shot plays down the field. So the options for the Chiefs are limited when it comes to the vertical passing game, as far as people that can really get it down the field, and it's Xavier Worthy. It is interesting. I don't know if Tyquan Thornton's necessarily going to be a guy this year that's able to do anything, but it is interesting to me that that is at least somebody that can get the ball down the field a little bit.
If the goal is to just push the ball vertical too, but McCole Hardman is still on this team. And he's not been the most efficient deep wide receiver, since with the Chiefs. There's been some issues with him and Mahomes trying to connect on deep balls, but we've also seen them connect on some if we go back to especially his first or second year with the Chiefs. If that's the goal, if they just need another guy that can run down the field fast, they do already have a guy available that can do that. So I don't even know if it's just the vertical game. It's just, let's get some more aggression going across the board. Sorry to cut you off. We haven't seen McCole Hardman run a vertical route yet this year, and that is
They haven't
they hadn't at all.
and he's averaging 7.5 yards per catch this season. Like, it's just it's wild. Like what he's and like I'm not going to knock him either because like I think they've finally found a really good role for him. I think he's played himself in a very nice role, but I mean he played 13 snaps this last game too. But yeah, I think try to get the ball down the field a little bit. We'll see what happens there. Anything you want to see out of Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, the biggest thing is just being more confident. I want to see the aggression that we saw. So when you look at this past game versus the Bills, when they were down after the first 2 drives and they go down and score that touchdown drive where they were targeting Xavier Worthy, you see a different Mahomes. It's like, okay, this game is on the verge of potentially slipping away. Let me put my best foot forward and keep us in it. And they drive down and score a touchdown. The drive in the fourth quarter when they first go down 9, it's, hey, this game might be over if we don't score here. Here is me showing up to be the Patrick Mahomes that everyone knows. Let's see that not in dire situations. Let's not wait until you have to have the game-winning drive to do that. Let's wait until it's not 3rd and 9 to pull that kind of stuff off. Why don't we do that to start the game, right? Like, let's come out, be aggressive, say, hey, I'm the best player in the NFL. Let me play like it for the first 2 quarters, and then you can coast. And part of that's going to be coaching. It's not just on one player. Part of it's going to be coaching. It's just, it doesn't feel like he or the Chiefs as an offense as a whole is always playing to put the game away from the get-go. Like from the first whistle, they don't play like they are trying to put the game away. They play like they're just trying to control it and not lose it and not let it get away. And I think we finally saw that bite them. So I wonder if that's going to be a wake-up call now that they finally suffered a loss, trying to kind of, I don't want to say like struggle, but kind of limp their way to the end of a game and just hope to out-execute their opponent.
Yeah, for the first time in 12 months, nearly, or 11 months, that they finally did that. And I'd like to see this team. One other thought, I'd be curious to see a little bit more Travis Kelce, a little bit more DeAndre Hopkins in this game. Like I know they kind of had a muted performance this last week. I'd like to see them get back into the swing of things and get more involved a little bit here too. So like that's something I'm kind of paying attention to as well.
I think Hopkins is the big one, right? Like it seemed like the snap count was going up and then it dropped in the Bills game. But if you go back and watch, there's a few plays that he clearly is in the wrong spot and he's still learning the playbook, but there's a few plays where he is clearly the guy that's in the wrong spot. And I think that mattered as that game went on, as the pressure went up of that game, because they were actually in a dogfight and losing. The coaching staff started to feel like, hey, maybe he doesn't know where he goes all the time. We don't have the full comfort to call the entire playbook with him right now, just this moment. So you saw his snaps drop. Hopefully they go back upwards again, because since DeAndre Hopkins has got to Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes has played a lot better. He's went from roughly 17th in the NFL in EPA per play. And now, if you just include the weeks where DeAndre Hopkins has been here and extrapolate that out, he would be like a top 5-6 quarterback in EPA per play. He's gotten better since Hopkins got to the Chiefs. So you need to increase Hopkins' snap count. I mean, he's not the same guy he once was, but he is clearly their most threatening wide receiver. He's clearly their best wide receiver that gets open the most often. They got to find a way to keep him on the field. So hopefully that playbook starts to fall into place. And this can be a bounce back from a week that saw his, lowest usage for the Chiefs since that very first game.
Matt Hamilton's usage stays up because we're putting him on 5 things to watch. Here's Matt Hamilton.
One thing to watch in this game is the Chiefs' offensive line up against this Panthers front. And let's be honest, this O-line is coming off of a rough performance against the Buffalo Bills. The pocket was getting pushed in on Patrick Mahomes pretty consistently. He wasn't able to find lanes to scramble to step up to make throws often. It had him looking a little uncomfortable. The run game was inefficient. It was one of the worst days we've seen for this Chiefs offensive line in a long time. So I'm looking for them to bounce back in a good way. There's too much talent there. They're too good to have this happen to them again this week. And you face a team like the Panthers with Jadeveon Clowney dealing with an injury. He's the one guy in that front that is a name that you really have to worry about. Ashawn Robinson is also a good, solid player, but this is a front that the Chiefs should be able to dominate. And I think this is a group that has a lot of pride. I think they've been watching that tape all week, waiting for another chance to get back out on the field. And I'm really interested to see what they do. Trey Smith had some rough moments, getting pushed back into Patrick Mahomes' lap. Wanya Morris, clearly he's dealing with a little bit of a knee thing. That seemed to show up. on Sunday against the Bills. And I think that's really the problematic area that you look at with this offensive line. I'm not really worried about the other spots. That left tackle spot is still a lingering concern, especially with Kingsley getting the healthy scratch. That is not a good sign for him. Wanya getting run around a few times. You got to wonder if he doesn't pick it up, if he has another rough game out here against the Panthers, do the Chiefs look at bringing a Donovan Smith back? He's out there tweeting that he is still available and he's interested. If they want him, he's staying in shape. So you wonder if we get to that point, especially in a game like this against a team that you should be able to dominate, if there are more struggles, does that phone call happen? And do we see Donovan Smith make a return? So while this is a game, again, that the Chiefs should win easily and there's not a lot of, matchup things that the Panthers can really exploit against them, I just think this is kind of a seminal moment, a pivotal moment in this season for this offensive line group to really go out there and take out some frustration, take out some aggression on the Panthers and dominate at the line of scrimmage, both in the run game and in pass protection. It's the one thing I'm watching for. I'll send it back to you.
That was our guy, Matt Hamilton. You can hear him on Wednesdays with us on the KC Laboratory. Wednesdays are Matter Days at KCSN. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
5 things to watch here on KC Sports Network as we get you prepared for Chiefs versus Panthers. And I just want to let everyone know, hey, look, we're getting real close to the holidays. They're creeping up faster than your aunt's fruitcake recipe, and I've got something way better to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win that Best Groomed at the Family Dinner award, check out the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your fate, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trusted Manscaped by using code KCSPORT for 20% off and free shipping. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Get 20% off free shipping with the code KCSports at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code KCSports at manscaped.com. Let's hear from the guys at that football show. It's time for the beef of the week. Tucker Franklin and Matt Verderam.
Beef of the week here on 5 Thanks presented by our friends at Batch Elder Family Farms. Look, I hope you guys took advantage of that bison bundle that they had. They still got it up there on the website. They got a bunch of bundles actually on the website. That's what I want to talk to you guys about this week. Look, if you don't already know, you can go visit them at their farm store at 2810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri. I've been out there. I've got to feed the bison. I've got to touch the bison. Chief, their big bison, their male bison they got out there, big boy, massive unit that they got out there. I got to feed the cows as well. That will be in probably your winter meat bundle if you are going to buy it. They got all kinds of bundles. If you go to the website, batchelderfamilyfarms.com, go to shop beef or shop bison. I like to go to the farm bundle section. You've got 10-pound of bison patties. You got all kinds of ground bison. The bison beginner bundle, which I've been talking to you guys about for a couple weeks. You can also put deposits down on half beef, quarter beef, full beef. This is Wagyu and Angus as well. So like high quality stuff, high quality beef from Batch Elder Family Farms. Go check them out. BatchElderFamilyFarms.com, 2810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri. Great friends of the program here. And we're here to talk about some beef, what maybe an untraditional beef, because there's not a whole lot really between these two teams historically. A younger franchise in Carolina, and not really a whole lot that the Chiefs have played the Carolina Panthers for very many times, truthfully. But we got to talk about some defensive line. We sometimes on Beef of the Week we'll talk about the offensive line, but we got to talk about the defensive line because there were some struggles against the Buffalo Bills in both the run defense and the pass rush, Matt.
Yeah, the run defense against James Cook was amazing. Against Josh Allen, not so much.
Correct.
I think he's still running. But my bigger concern right now is the pass rush. Now, look, they're going to get Charles Omenihu back, if not this week, next week. That will help. But their pass rush, not good right now. Not getting the job done. Chris Jones has 3 sacks and he has easily been their best defensive lineman, and he's 3 sacks. So that tells you all you need to know. Karlaftis is leading the team with 4. It is a train wreck in terms of that stuff. Look, they have 19 sacks this year. The only teams who have less, Miami, Atlanta, and oh, look at that, Carolina. Not good. Like, got to get better. Now, their pressure rate, believe it or not, at least according to Pro Football Focus, is 4th. But their pressure rate, yeah, you would not believe that, right? And they've knocked down the quarterback on a percentage basis more than anybody in the NFL. But it's also because they blitz the second most.
Yes.
Right. So there's like a little bit of a, all right. By the way, Panthers also a blitz heavy team. Heads up on that. But listen, the Chiefs, you got to get pressure when you're not blitzing. It can't just be like, hey, we want to get pressure on this down. Let's bring 9. Like, you got to occasionally be able to get home with 4. The Panthers, not a great offensive line. They spent a lot of money at guard this offseason with Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, but it's still in line that is certainly better than it was a year ago, but it's not top tier. This has got to be a Karlaftis game, a Chris Jones game. Like, look, I'm not saying you got to go out and have 8 sacks. Can you go out and have 5? 4 to 5. Can you have just a big day? You go out and have a big day. Even 3 is a decent day. But can you go out and have a big day? Have 4 to 5 sacks. That is my challenge to the beef up front.
When you're looking at it too, I'm glad you mentioned Chris Jones. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, especially with him and the big money guards that Carolina did play. That should be a good matchup to watch. But when in regards to Chris Jones, he just needs more help. I think that's the big thing. He can win, but he's not getting home. Even I mentioned this on the 10 Things podcast. Even when the Chiefs were blitzing, they weren't getting home. That's been an issue, actually, like a decent amount this year of them not being able to get home. It just really kind of reared its head against the Buffalo Bills. And according to Next Gen Stats, Chris Jones generated 7 pressures on 41 pass rushes for a 17.1% pressure rate against the Bills, generating 4 of his pressures in under 2.5 seconds. Jones was double teamed on 31% of his rushes, generating just 1 pressure across 13 double teams. When not doubled, Jones generated 6 pressures on 25 rushes. Jones has now created 37 pressures this season, second most among defensive tackles. Look, if Chris Jones is getting double teamed, that means another guy has an advantage. And the fact that that guy is not winning in that advantage is a problem. They need complementary pass rush. They need it to come quick. The Carolina Panthers might not be the team that will expose that the lack of complementary pass rush, but you want to see that really come through here for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's our beef of the week here, presented by Batchelder Family Farms. Go check out their farm bundles at batchelderfamilyfarms.com. Go visit them at 2810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri. We'll go ahead and sit it back for more 5 Things.
Shout out to Tucker and Matt V. Let's hear some Benny's picks. Let's get Benny involved here. What you got, Benny?
Ken, thank you, brother. What's up, people? Good to be back on 5 Things as we're talking Week 12 edition for the Chiefs and the Panthers. And we got some underdog plays for you this week, a little higher, lower for you. 3 plays on the board if you have not signed up for underdog yet. Still got plenty of season to do so. There's still some great opportunities each and every week. If you use that promo code KeithESN, you still have an opportunity to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash on your first deposit. And for this week, you get a Week 12 free pick with Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams. You just need him to go higher than 0.5 total yards. That's the play. That's the free play. And these are the picks for Chiefs and Panthers. Make sure you guys check them out over on Underdog. We're coming off a 2-1 week. So let's keep it going with a record now, 14-16. We're back on the roll. A couple good weeks. Here we go. Let's start on the Chiefs side. We're going to go with higher than 43.5 yards for DeAndre Hopkins. So you've all heard the numbers on Patrick Mahomes this week following a loss as a double-digit favorite. He's gone 4-0 straight up in his career. Whether or not he's covered in those numbers, you don't even need to worry about. We're just focused on one play here. But since we're not concerned about that, we can at least feel confident that the offense is going to be back on track and they're going to take care of business on the road against the Carolina team that has already doubled their wins in the last 2 games that they played from a season ago. The last few weeks have been concerning for Hopkins, right? Hasn't been the first read option. In fact, we saw the number die from like 28% down to like 11% last week against Buffalo. But it's still a very positive matchup. It's a bottom-level defense in Carolina. They've been better the last few weeks, but it's still a matchup that the Chiefs can take advantage of. And they also haven't been able to rush the passer, which gives Mahomes time to be able to catch out his number one wide receiver, whether it be out in the slot, if they want to move him to the outside, move the chains, use him in that Rashee Rice role. I expect Hopkins to settle in with 1.5 again. And I think this is a capitalistic opportunity where the number at 43.5, I'm looking at Hopkins as going anywhere between 65 and 75 receiving yards, maybe 6-7 catches. That I think the average depth of target for him is going to be a little bit higher this week. They're going to take some more chances with him in the middle of the field. And the way that Carolina has played this year, they've given up plenty of big plays. So Hopkins gets himself going. Frankly, 43.5, if you would have asked me if that would have been in line for DeAndre Hopkins even just a couple weeks ago, I would have said you're crazy. So yeah, the numbers don't look good over the last few weeks, but this is an opportunity to buy low on the Chiefs' most consistent receiving option, not named Travis Kelce. Here's another one on the Kansas City side that I like for pick number 2 over on Underdog. And that's Spencer Schrader. I like him to go higher than 1.5 field goals made in the matchup against Carolina. I've mentioned this already. Chiefs are a double-digit favorite, so if the game ends up going according to script, this is a very ideal situation for Schrader to get himself involved, right? The Chiefs don't necessarily have to take a lot more chances on third down. There's going to be more manageable opportunities. If they get a big lead early, they don't have to go for the jugular, try to go up, 28 as opposed to whatever it might be. So he's going to get some of those field goal opportunities. And remember, if Butker ends up missing extended time, like these are the reps that you want this guy to have in the regular season so that you can trust him if you need to come postseason time if Butker still is not at 100%. Plus, you have a Panthers defense and special teams unit that's ranked bottom 5 in the NFL in points allowed to place kickers this year. I also think that it's going to be a good weather game in light of the forecast. We're talking about maybe light winds, sunny to partially sunny skies in Carolina with a temperature in the 60s. Good kicking conditions, and for a matchup that sets up very well for Kansas City, I like Schrader to go ahead and go higher than 1.5 field goals made. And then the last one on the Carolina side to fill out your card over on Underdog, let's do one more higher, although it's not necessarily a positive higher, and that is for Bryce Young. I like him to go higher than 0.5 interceptions on the game. Talked about it. The Panthers are playing better football as of late. And as somebody who has been getting a bit frustrated at hearing from the college perspective, well, who has Indiana played this year? Oh, I don't know. It's Big Ten compared to the SEC. I know, conversation for another day. Big Ben, get back on track here. But we have to talk about it with the Panthers, right? The 2 wins that Bryce Young has helped them pull off have been 3-point and 1-point wins against the Giants and the New Orleans Saints, who had at that point lost 6 games in a row before losing to the Panthers, ended up firing their head coach. So these are teams that are right in that bottom tier level with Carolina. The Chiefs aren't one of those teams. So at some point, Bryce Young, even though they want to rely on Chuba Hubbard, even though Jonathan Brooks, the first running back selected in the draft is coming back this week, they're going to likely have to take some shots down the field to keep up with Kansas City. And that's even with the Chiefs having an inconsistent offense this year. So at some point, Young is going to make a mistake. He's been decent about not turning over the ball this year. But again, it's just the numbers suggest a bad play or a turnover-worthy play is going to come. And I expect Kansas City to capitalize, whether it happens early on in the game or whether it's late and they're just trying to get some semblance of movement down the field and some opportunities that present itself. I do like Kansas City to take advantage of Bryce Young and pick the ball off at least one time in this game. So again, your 3 plays for Underdog Fantasy this week for higher, lower, and for pick'em. DeAndre Hopkins, I like him over 43.5 for receiving yards. Spencer Schrader, I like him to go higher than 1.5 field goals made. And then Bryce Young, like him higher than 0.5 interceptions on the day. If you have not signed up, make sure you guys do so. It's promo code KCSN over by downloading the Underdog app. Claim your free pick and also the first time deposit bonus offer up to $1,000 cash. Good luck, everybody. Let's keep the winning going. And Kent, I'm sending it back to you.
That's our guy, Benny Heisler, with Benny's picks. And let's close this thing out with Only Weird Games, as we always do. They're going to talk a little bit about the cornerbacks.
Joshua Briscoe and Nate Taylor from Only Weird Games here with you to talk about one very important thing that's earned quite a bit of discussion over this last week or so. Really, it's been a discussion since Jalen Watson's injury. The quarterback position has been performing at, frankly, and pretty objectively, I think, a lower level since Watson departed. Najee Johnson got 100% of the workload against Buffalo, but the results were not good. Nate, against Carolina, the opponent level is different. Certainly the quarterbacking level is very different, but I think Najee Johnson, presuming he does get the start and the bulk of the workload again, I think he can prove some things on Sunday. Where are you at right now on him, and do you expect him to get that full workload?
Yes, I do, Josh, and I think it's the right call by the coaching staff. If they were to consult one of us, I think we would probably recommend that Najee get the start. And I want to sort of preface this by saying that, like, Najee Johnson can be a good NFL player. He just kind of got exposed in a very big game atmosphere on the road against, obviously, the presumptive, I guess, front runner is probably the best word, front runner at MVP with Josh Allen. And it doesn't help that Duffy's an all-pro, and why would you test him when they could just test you? So it's a totally different circumstance. This is another road game. They are playing the Panthers, who are trying to show some form of, like, professionalism. So if there's a highlight to be made, make the highlight. If there's a tackle where the pass is short of the sticks on third down, go make the tackle. Obviously, it'd be great if he had a couple pass breakups or two. I don't think we're asking for an interception, but we're just asking that he play closer to the Jalen Watson level than what the Chiefs have not gotten since he basically left, which is not a gaping hole, but obviously a weak spot in the defense that teams can sort of start to either manipulate or exploit. So if you want to shore that up, there's no better opponent, literally, Josh, than the Carolina Panthers.
I'd argue that right there neck and neck around that level will be in 2 weeks against the Las Vegas Raiders. Another good opportunity to do exactly that. And that's why I'm with you when you say, you think we'd suggest that you go ahead and give Najee Johnson the start again. And I'm tempted by, like, a little platoon kind of thing to come out. I am willing, though, in this game to not actually get to that point, because you just got pretty consistently dunked on by Josh Allen and company. If you get a get right game against Carolina, get right. And if you look right after the Panthers, stay right against the Raiders. And then you get Justin Herbert, another quarterback who will know who he's targeting, who doesn't have incredible weapons, but has gotten more out of those weapons this season than I think we maybe even expected after they had such an exodus of the receivers who had been there for ages, in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. You get the Justin Herbert challenge, and that, to me, is the real test. Now, look, if Najee Johnson fails the Bryce Young or presumably Gardner Minshew test, I guess, if he fails those tests, then at any of those points, I'm willing to break glass and bring in Joshua Williams. Seth has talked about this. We've discussed this quite a bit this week on Only Weird Games. Joshua Williams in man coverage is not only, like, a good fit, he's done that at a high level before.
Yes.
He's also created some issues in zone. The Chiefs seem to have had some communication issues with both of those guys. Both of those guys have had some mental mistakes you can kind of mix in, either in communication or responsibility or penalties. But I would like to see Johnson get this entire go against the Panthers, barring a disastrous first half or whatever. And you have to continue to iterate on that group. Otherwise, you're going to have to make some changes. I think something similar is true for Shamari Connor, but it's Shamari Connor or Chris Roland Wallace in the slot right now. And I haven't seen Chris Roland Wallace perform in a way that I have seen Joshua Williams.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is if you dominate this game early, it could have a cumulative effect because you are going to have a short week just by virtue of the calendar playing the Raiders on Black Friday. So just something to keep in mind. If Najee Johnson plays well and the Chiefs defense plays well and they're dominating, take everybody out in the fourth quarter or at the start of the fourth quarter, right? If the game's in hand, because you do play a division rival, on a quick turnaround. And I think this is a statistic that not many people probably know, but not only is Trent McDuffie very good, Josh, he's played every defensive snap this season, every single one. So he needs a break. He is the Chiefs' Iron Man right now, on the defensive side with, some of the offensive linemen and Patrick Mahomes, of course, on the offensive side. So Najee Johnson could do a lot for Trent McDuffie. And Trent McDuffie, you hope, will be at his best so that we can get a real look at Najee Johnson coming off a disappointing performance in Buffalo.
With a chance for redemption, it is coming in Carolina Panthers uniforms. And if that goes poorly, Tuesday's edition of Only Weird Games might be a little bit unpleasant for all of us.
That's the fellas at Only Weird Games, and that is 5 things to watch here at KC Sports Network. Appreciate everybody that's listening and supporting KC Sports Network. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.